All right, now we're going to focus on Christopher Hitchens' book, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. Um, and here's a picture of Christopher Hitchens for you. I'm going to be showing some pictures in this one, which will be fun. A little bit about Hitchens. He is he's passed away, but he was both a British and American citizen. He was a naturalized American citizen, a very well-known journalist and polemic. What polemic means is that he engaged in kind of public debates about stuff, and a lot of his articles, a lot of his articles make arguments, just like this book does. Um, Little tripping on my words there. He was a Vanity Fair contributing editor for anyone who knows that magazine. And he was a former Marxist, which we're going to get into what that means, but he explains that in the book pretty extensively. So we're going to talk about it extensively also. Um, Even though he was already a well-known journalist, this is his most popular book. Among those who agree with him and among those who disagree with him, it was definitely his best-selling. He became a pop culture icon from this book, and this is especially within the atheist movements that we have seen in the past, 10 years or so, really pop out and be very vocal, particularly within a pop culture setting. But also amongst those who argue against his viewpoint of atheism, anti-theism, and secularism. They definitely had a very large and poignant response to this book. He's known as a very good and clear and humorous writer. And I think you'll see that in his writing, that whether or not someone disagrees with him or agrees with him, that he's enjoyable to read at least. Although he can be infuriating, so don't let anything he says get to you too badly, because we're going to be doing critical analysis of that. But I do definitely recommend his memoir, Hitch 22, if you like his writing style. It's a very fascinating memoir and interesting life. What we're going to look at is what accounts for this book's popularity. Why was it that it touched the nerve with the populace, both religious and non-religious people? Why were they so receptive of his work? Now, I understand that although Hitchens is very clear and good at setting up his references, that sometimes his anecdotes and his references can be very overwhelming. And I don't want you to get bogged down with those. I want you to pick out the main arguments. If there's a writer you really want to look up that he references, then definitely Google that person. But it's not something I want you to get stuck on while you read this book, because that can be difficult if you're consistently doing that. A lot of this stuff that he references I have read, some of it I haven't, but we're going to go through what I kind of picked out as the 5 most prominent thinkers that play into his arguments. And I'm going to show pictures of them also on my phone, so let me bring them up. Okay. The first one that I noticed right away was early 20th century Irish novelist James Joyce, which you'll see referenced extensively in the book. Particularly Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, which is a very good novel. I recommend it. Then we also have the 19th century novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky. Now, Hitchens often quotes Dostoevsky's novel The Brothers Karamazov, which I have not read, although I've read his other novel, Crime and Punishment. And they're he's got a very intense writing style. Next, extensively he quotes Baruch Spinoza, who changed his name to Benedict Spinoza in order to hide his Jewish ancestry in 17th century Europe, which was very anti-Semitic. He was a philosopher. Here's a picture of him. And I haven't read much of Spinoza, but Hitchens is good at setting him up. Then there's Sigmund Freud, of course, the 20th century psychologist, known as the father of modern psychology in many circles in some ways. And we're going to be engaging one of Freud's works later in the semester, and I think that'll be really fun. I picked some fun readings for that. And then most extensively, he quotes from Karl Marx, who was a 19th century philosopher and revolutionary and founder of communism, and also a sociologist in some ways. He wasn't a trained sociologist, but he participated in sociological debates. And we're going to really focus on Marx because it's so important to Hitchens, and to look at the way in which Marx has made his impact on views of religion expressed in popular culture. And I've read Marx extensively, so this is going to be fun. You will notice that Hitchens doesn't quote, well, I should say, he rarely quotes writers after 1950. And that was just something that I noticed in my second time reading through the book. It's very strange. But those who are interested in further study in secularism, the book I most recommend, which is an intense book, is Talal Assad's Formations of the Secular, Christianity, Islam, Modernity, which Hitchens does not quote at all. But Assad's not participating in the debate that Hitchens is participating in. He's really looking at an anthropology of secularism. Okay. So we're going to move on to Marx. But in order to do this, because I don't want to have to split Marx up into 2 videos, I'm going to stop this video right now at about 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And the next video will focus on Marx and Hitchens' view of Marx.